Good evening and welcome to the Chicago Westside Branch NAACP show. I am Phyllis Logan, your host. We have a guest this evening and we're going to cover two topics that we think you will have interest in. Feel free, we are a live interactive show. Call in with your questions or comments at 312-738-1060. So to start, once again, we are the Chicago Westside Branch. Our information, we're at 5820 West Chicago Avenue. Our office number, you can always call our office if you have any questions or comments after the show at 773-261-5890. So with that, we're going to have our guest introduce himself. And welcome to the show, Mr. Gregory.
Well, thank you. My name is Gregory Norris.
There you go.
And I'm a member of the NAACP as well, on the Alton branch. However, I'm here today to represent the NAACP as holding down the Illinois State Chair of Veterans and also the Environmental Climate and Justice Chair.
Okay, you have to tell us where Alton is. Okay.
Alton is approximately, I would say, 15, 20 minutes from Ferguson.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, people that are familiar with the situation in Ferguson, Missouri, Alton is not that far removed from that with the state border there. So we want to start off. Not you're a executive committee member or
Yes.
executive committee member as well as the chair of.
The,
Of what again?
The Veterans Affairs Chair
Okay,
and the
Veterans.
Environmental and Justice and Climate Chair.
Okay, and climate and justice. So we want to start off with an initiative that you are part of, that you've been pretty much engaged in for a while now.
Yes, you're speaking of My Brother's Keepers?
My Brother's Keeper.
Well, that's a program that I had the awesome opportunity of being invited to the White House after submitting a synopsis to the president as to what I was doing in the community. And he wanted people to begin to take up the challenges related to the My Brother's Keepers initiative, in which he passed in 2014.
2014, okay. And then what I did do for you, the audience, I did go into the internet to pull up this picture here with the logo of My Brother's Keeper, that MBK, which is a good logo. I like that logo there. So this initiative started off introducing what to the communities?
Well, what initially happened is, we were familiar with Ferguson, and and a lot of things came up to whereas there were a lot of things happening throughout the nation, whereas people were becoming to realize that the minorities, specifically the black male in the American communities, were being overlooked. Programs were not available there for them. So in 2014, when the president signed the initiative, but prior to the signing of the initiative, he had various people go out throughout the nation and do a survey as to what actually was happening within these communities. There's a white paper online that speaks to the My Brother's Keepers in that survey. And the people came back and said it was undeniable as to what has actually happened to the African American male in the American communities.
So the situations were real,
Absolutely,
and there was
absolutely.
no way to deny the mere fact that some of the things that happen are happening purposely
It was
or by design.
Absolutely,
Okay.
one or the other. But either way, it was actually one of the things that we left the White House with. They said, when you go back to your community and you say that this is for males of color, and then quoting the words males of color, particularly African American males, they said, do not let someone derail you by asking you, well, why does it have to be about the black males? We had the report that says, if you pull it up and say, well, the data speaks for it.
Right,
So,
right. And what's happening from that point till today? I mean, with Obama being out of office, is the initiative still running?
Well, it was really nice the way that the president set that up. People felt like it was a federal program, but it was not a federal program. It is Obama's program. So in the sense, what had happened here was that after having the people go out and do the survey, he came back and he established an alliance. So it was like someone who was in office, but they were establishing their own business. While we were in the White House, it was even conveyed to us that in the cell phone, he said, well, when he leaves the White House, My Brother's Keeper is his. and put it in his pocket. So it left when he left.
So this is a foundation
some-
under Obama right now. This
Right
is
now,
one of his
yes, and you-
initiatives that he runs, that
And
he
you can find
operates.
online the
Yeah.
My Brother's Keepers Alliance.
So we're going to show you that again when you go up and look up, Obama White House archives. You can now go in and look up his foundation, or
Well,
here
you would-
are some other
Yeah,
areas.
he does have a foundation out there, but this
Okay.
is a separate entity that he established, which is up under My Brother's Keepers Alliance.
Okay, Alliance. So we'll have to look that up for the audience shortly. So this is still ongoing, which means that the issues were real enough for the president to say this needs to continue, even though it did start off under his leadership as president of the United States. So
Exactly.
My Brother's Keeper, I think, was a phenomenal initiative to start in the first place. And if it's still moving strong, you, our audience, you need to look that up, the Obama initiative, My Brother's Keeper Foundation, and see what you can find from there, because the issues are real and the issues are throughout the state of Illinois, but throughout the United States.
Throughout the United States, one of the things that I would say that in here in Chicago, you have not a replica. Actually, I would say that it actually started here in Chicago.
Right.
If you were to look up a community program called BAM, Becoming a Man.
Okay,
And I think it's
okay,
up under
okay.
the University of
Illinois?
Yes, yes. Mhm.
Okay, got a lot of initiatives, a lot of activity from the Obama administration leadership. Many of his staff members are actually here over at UIC, which is why we have a continuation of not only the initiatives, but a lot of the other areas that he wanted to concentrate in on. And I think we also have the redistricting, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Obama has an initiative to do the drawing of the map. So we'll have to talk more on that in the future. But moving on, what activities are you working on under the initiative right now?
Well, right now, the initiative came with 6 goals in mind. And the first one was getting a healthy start in school and starting school ready to learn. So that was like, an elementary entry. And reading at grade level, which we know it's documented now, that a child that in high school may be fortunate enough to graduate with a 6th grade reading level, but
Right.
that started way back when they were in kindergarten. They were
right,
not prepared to read at 3rd grade
Right,
reading level,
right,
and it just
right.
transitioned from there to high school. And then graduating from high school ready for college or a career, and completing post-secondary education, successfully entering the workforce.
Okay.
And keeping kids out of prison was the last goal. We decided to select working with the youth in middle school and working with the youth in high school, ensuring that they graduate from school either ready for post-secondary education or ready to go from high school to some type of certification and getting a career or going there ready to work.
Okay, so not only do you work with the young 6th grade and under to help prepare them for the higher levels of learning, but you also try to keep track and help excel those that are already in high school that may be a tad bit under the curve
Absolutely.
of
Absolutely.
reaching the objectives of those grades. We are live, and you can feel free to call in with your questions or comments. 312-738-1060. Once again, I'm Phyllis Logan, and our guest this evening, Mr. Gregory Norris, all the way from Alton, Illinois, very close to
Ferguson,
Illinois, and he is a member of our state's executive committee, where we are not only officers for the state of Illinois, throughout the state of Illinois, and I've mentioned a few times we have over 40-some units, over 35 units, active units in the state of Illinois, and we try to cover as many of the concerns as possible that reflect or can refrain to being similar to every situation in any other city in the state of Illinois. So we try to cover all the activities. So with this initiative, My Brother's Keeper, is this just for males, or are females included in this initiative with your outreach as well?
No, that was one of the things that happened on my second visit to the White House, and I happened to go there for a meeting, and then we were invited to attend the grand opening of the African American Museum.
Okay.
When we went there for the second meeting, they made it quite clear that we could not do what had already been done once before as relates to moving the African American black female forward and leaving the male behind. And they made it quite clear that this was a program that we could not afford to leave the female out.
Correct.
Ironically, I was able to show that we had already started a program called our Sister to Sister program, which actually jump-started before I went to the White House.
Okay.
So they were saying, "Oh, you're on it."
So you didn't leave the females out.
No,
You started
how,
with the
how could I?
females. Okay.
No.
With every strong brother, there's a strong sister right behind, and
Absolutely.
she's possibly leading the charge anyway. So that's just my thought. Okay, I'll retract that. But I want you guys to know that we invited Mr. Norris here all the way from Alton to show that we do have, when we talk about strengths in numbers, that we're combating so many social ills and injustices throughout the state of Illinois. And he's on the far eastern side of the state of Illinois, right there on the borderline between Missouri
Yes.
and
yes.
Illinois. So he's come a long way. They do not have cable, local cable access.
I'm not sure. I've been trying to investigate that. Someone said that we did have a community a network there
Okay.
that allow people to come in and speak. I'm not sure exactly
Okay,
where it's
well,
at.
he's going to double
But,
check on that so
yes,
he can
yes,
get in touch
definitely.
with his community there in Alton. But we also thought that given that the situations are all the same and that Obama's from Chicago, that we have him come and speak on this My Brother's Keepers initiative with you. So now we're going to allow...
Before you close on that, I'd like to make just one statement that
Okay.
President Obama said in the paper. When he had established the program, he made a quote in the paper and he said, "I'm in this program for life."
There you go. And these are issues that affect us for life. Okay, so from one generation to the next, this will always be a concern, but it also should be something that we're in front of, constantly in front of, to make sure that we're not caught backtracking or, missing a beat, as they say, or missing a day without being prepared, especially with our next generation. So we appreciate
Absolutely.
that. We want to continue to get that information out to our audience here on KNTV. 312-738-1060 is our call-in number with your questions or comments. And in the interim, I still want you to be able to call our office if you have questions or concerns on any topics or any areas that affect our communities. 773-261-5890. We just had our monthly meeting this past Saturday. Our meetings are the first Saturday of every month, except for the month of July when we're out for our national convention, conference. But we invite you to always call our office for any updates. So with that, we're going to go over to the next hat that Mr. Norris wears, and he wears it very well. Introduce yourself again.
Well, in serving as the Illinois State Veterans Chair, and plus being a retired Marine after serving 22 years in the Marine Corps.
And I have to say hoorah to him, okay?
Simplify to all you out
Okay,
there.
there you go.
A lot of them, it's very well known that a lot of the African American males or females, for that matter, may be disconnected from the community, and a lot of them go into the military looking for a way out or looking for an opportunity to establish a career.
Okay.
However, when they come back home, that disconnection is still there. And if you've been in combat and you come back and you have some unknown history of mental illness or PTSD, you have no way to turn, because there's a missing link when it comes to being discharged from the military that existed in my time and still exists today. And that is, you're not connected to the services or the resources that are available out there to you. They just tell you what you need to be doing as it relates to your insurance, keeping your insurance up if you want to carry it over, and the educational benefits that are available to you.
So I know many times, we the civilians that have never walked in to those paths, we may think that, the military supplies them with all things getting them prepared to re-enter the same way we have with ex-offenders. You have to have a brain here to understand or see yourself where they're at. You've been taken away from your environment over a
Yes.
period of time. You've been introduced to a whole new environment with the laws and regulations or whatever instructions you're given. In both forms, whether you're in prison or in the military, you're disciplined to make sure you're here
Exactly.
to what your job is or what the instructions are.
And the one thing about that is, just like a community out here, when you enter the military, there's a military community that gives you, you have that leadership that
Yes.
gives you the guidance,
Yes.
that there's something that you need to be doing, and you don't have the direction, someone's going to give you that
Right.
direction. You return to your community, now you may be lacking that direction, or people with leadership skills may not be available to adhere to your need as an individual.
Right. And it's two different worlds.
Absolutely.
So whatever your training was in the military, it many times does not match up to what's here for the
Exactly.
lay person or the lay community to even subscribe or retrofit you back into.
Yes.
So, and I use an example, my husband, Marines too, he was in infantry.
Yes.
He can't come back out shooting for the, I just use that as an example, That's just an example. But my son also in the Marines, he was in technology. He learned a trade that matched up with civilian life where he was able to go into a job skill because he had learned a skill set.
Well, see,
So there's a two folds.
There's a difference, but I like to, defend that position,
Okay.
realizing that I started as
Okay.
an infantry, a grunt myself. I
Okay.
carried a weapon. I carried an 81 millimeter mortar.
Okay.
So my thing is that at that level, today people get out and they say, well, ex-offenders, you got to teach them, what they call, life skills.
Right.
Whereas if you get out of the Marine Corps and you've been in that field, you understand structure,
Right,
order,
correct,
and
correct,
discipline. You
correct.
understand being on time. So,
Right.
those are life skills
Okay,
that maybe others
okay.
are lacking, that they
Well, we'll
come
let
with
you
those
separate
skills.
the two. So I didn't
Okay,
mean to
thank
put
you.
them in the same place. I just wanted to, put some conduit to it to say you're in one place.
Yes,
And
yes.
you learn how to operate in that space.
Absolutely.
The rules of the road, so to speak. So not to compare. I promise you, I am not comparing this as apples and apples. That's apples and oranges 100%. So I don't equate them at all. So so carrying on with some of your concerns, though.
Well, a lot of my concerns is that the fact that we have very young veterans that are coming back from, Iraq, from Desert Storm, and it's been identified that they're coming back disconnected. Okay. Some may be disgruntled for whatever reason it may be. However, that outreach is not there. There are many things that we know that are being done for veterans, and it goes without saying. You have the stand down. You have people who are doing job fairs. You have people who feed them on holidays. But I am really interested in that veteran, and I'm calling it an extended outreach.
Okay.
And it's been identified that they're homeless. They may be living up under bridges or in the tunnels of train tracks. And someone has got to have the courage to go out there and do an extended outreach, because they're not reading the posts. They're not reading the flyers that we're putting out there. So again, they're the disconnected ones from the resources.
So Gregory, Mr. Norris is out of Alton, but we're going to try to get your information very shortly. We have a caller. Call your question or comment. Yes, caller. Caller, your question or comment?
Yes, and good evening, and booyah to your guests.
Thank
Hoorah.
And for an old grunt that came out, he looked like he did pretty good. Let me tell you something. You see a lot of people coming out now. See, it's hard to understand if people don't be there. Some people just, their minds just different. I mean, it would change your thoughts of everything. I mean, even washing. But either way it go, they teach you how to do certain things. And then sometimes when they come home, they don't want them to help them. They don't want to do anything for us or do anything. But the point being is, let me tell you, I'm so proud to see an old grunt and he's doing very well. And you came back and tried to help other people. This is what we need, more people trying to do things for the veterans out here. Listen, thanks for answering the call.
Thank you.
Great luck to you, old grunt.
Super
Keep
fun.
on doing it here.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, caller. So, you're in Alton. I mean, can you give, didn't write it, put it on the overhead or anything, but they can just go on to the NAACP Alton?
Well, we're building at the directions by Illinois State President Teresa Haley. What we're doing right now is we're updating the web page. We're putting committee pages on Facebook. So there's going to be a veterans page out there on Facebook. I'm going to be on Snapchat. But my real challenge is to put my boots on, don my gear, and go out there into those areas that they're at, and make a connection. Once again, I'm calling it our extended outreach. But if you're on a cell phone and you're looking to make contact with me, just go onto the Illinois State NAACP, and look up under that section that says veterans, and that will lead you to a telephone number and an email address and a contact. And if you call, I'm answering the call.
So it's the NAACP Illinois State Conference, and you on the opening page, you go to
The veterans section.
the Veterans section, the Veterans Committee section, and you'll be able to get in touch with Mr. Norris and to help him continue his initiatives that he's working on to get more of the concerns, the questions answered, or get the resources out.
And I don't mind sounding off my phone number if that's okay.
No, you can't do that. Okay, so
okay.
you have to go online.
Okay.
But some of the what can you envision some of the urgent needs are right now?
Some of the urgent needs are, one of the things was that even the government has established a specific page for, once again, the minorities, because those are the ones that goes in, come back, and they're still disconnected. What some of the urgent needs that have been identified on the Veterans website, they established a Veterans homeless website. We're losing veterans by suicide rate, maybe 22 a day.
Right.
So there's homeless assistance, health, mental issues, job fair, and job training.
So with the so many of the initiatives are focused on the homeless, but are they also focused on getting the other resources out to once a veteran comes in?
Well, see, I
as
think
homeless.
I think the idea is that normally most events are like, you do it for a day.
Okay.
This new website is talking about, different toolkits and different approaches. And what I'm telling them is that when you get your hands on the veteran, you don't turn them loose and send them back and wait for them to come back for the next event.
Okay.
You try to get them connected to all the resources, almost like a one-stop shop, and fulfill their needs systemically once you get your hands on them at any event.
And Mr. Norris initiated. What's the word? You navigated, what's the word? You facilitated facilitated a forum at our state convention this past October. And describe some of the substance that was given out there.
Well, we made contact with the John Cochran Hospital region, and we got a speaker from there and to come into our workshop at our state convention last year, and to share with them the benefits and the resources. And ironically, we have a lot of older vets out there that are not familiar with all the benefits and resources available, so what's happening to the younger ones. But they were elated, and they were full of questions, and they were surprised to know that one of the things I'd like to share is that any veteran that has retired from the military with any discharge other than a dishonorable discharge can now go online and use the catalog to shop tax-free at any of the exchanges. And one of the things that you know about the military is that when you shop at their exchanges, you're going to get a quality good for a reasonable price. And it's tax-free.
And it's tax-free, duty-free. That's what military term, duty-free. Okay, so and the outreach was, we welcomed your guests that you brought in, and as he stated, so much information was gathered from the audience in a big way.
Oh yes, there were older veterans out there that didn't realize the importance of when you come back to your community. The first thing you should do is check in with your county, because a lot of people will go to the veterans, the VSO office, the Veteran Service Officer, but they don't know that the county has funding for them as well. And one of the things that is most important is that you register your DD 214 with your county. So if anything happens to you, at least your family member knows that we can go to the county, records and get your DD-1214 and verify your status with the military.
And if you're a veteran, you know what that paperwork is. That shows your service date, when
Absolutely.
you arrived and when you were let go, sent back home after you completed your term. And it just shows your time that you put in for being in the military, being active.
Yes.
And
yes.
what your position was while you were there. So
Exactly.
you know you need that DD-214 for many things. So we did good. I mean, that session was really great. And we want to once again announce, let people know where they can find you at. We've got a couple more minutes left, so.
Well, they can find me on the Illinois State NAACP website and look up under the Veterans Committee, and that will take you to a link as it relates to the Facebook, but it'll also have a contact number on that page. The other thing is that where we have our state convention coming up in August, and one of the things I want to do, which is going to be in Springfield, Illinois.
August
is gonna-
2018.
August the 2018. One of the things I want to do is I want to see if we can do a special event for the veterans in that area or throughout the state, perhaps, whereas we would have an outreach event on the outside of the hotel where we will be having our veteran, our state convention, which will be at the Crown Hotel in Springfield.
Now, you also did some things this past Veterans Day, this past
Oh,
November
absolutely.
11th. So if
Yes,
you've got a couple of minutes, give us some of that.
One of the things I did is that we just made a flyer, and I put a lot of the benefits and resources on the paper, and I knew that these were, I would say, would be veterans who are already, if not connected, visible to the naked eye. But what I did is that I made a flyer. I went out to the Golden Corral, the IHOP, because once again they feed the veterans, and acknowledging them and showing appreciation for their services. And the lines were long.
Okay.
And I passed out over 250 some flyers to the veterans, and once again they were excited about becoming aware
And you gave them a list of all
of
of the
all
services
the
that
resources
benefit. Okay.
and new benefits that were made available to
Wow.
them, and they were like, I didn't know this, I didn't know this.
Well, we're going to have to join forces throughout the state with that one, because I've attended or gone along with my family, veteran members, and for the breakfast or the dinner or the lunch. And sometimes you can get, some of the outlets will have some outreach from the DAV and
Yes.
the other services, but never to the extent that you just did this past Veterans Day. So we're going to wrap it up. I am Phyllis Logan, and once again, go to the Illinois NAACP webpage, look up veterans information. You'll be able to gather that, and as well as Mr. Norris's phone number. Reach out to him and let him assist as best as he can. And we're going to try to get some more things going on with you statewide. But I am Phyllis Logan, your host, and we're going to give you our information one more time. We are the Chicago Westside Branch NAACP, located at 5820 West Chicago Avenue, but our office number is 261-5890, area code 773. And we want to always thank CAN TV for allowing us this opportunity to get our voices out.
Absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity.
There you go. And we are always available at the office if you have any questions or concerns after the show. But we will see you back here next Monday at 7:30 p.m. And we want to thank everyone. Have a good evening.